Life often teaches us that the deepest desires of our heart cannot be rushed, especially when it comes to finding the one meant to walk with us through the journey of love, faith, and destiny. And while our human nature pushes us to question, to hurry, and to demand answers, God in His wisdom waits until the season of readiness has been formed within us before allowing our soulmate to be revealed. This is not because He wants to deprive us of companionship, but because He understands that timing shapes maturity, that preparation refines character, and that a love revealed too early can collapse under the weight of unpreparedness. So He allows seasons of waiting that feel like delay, but are actually training grounds where we learn patience, self-control, faith, and discernment, where our hearts are pruned of pride, insecurity, and desperation so that we can receive another person with humility, wisdom, and balance. And in these moments of solitude, we begin to realize that being alone is not the same as being incomplete. For God uses those years to remind us that identity must be rooted in Him before it can be safely shared with someone else. The beauty of divine timing is that it prevents us from building a life on weak foundations. For when the right person arrives, it is not chaos or confusion that fills the soul, but a quiet assurance and inner peace that whispers, "This is safe. This is right, this is blessed." And though the world may dress love in sparks, appearances, or fleeting attraction, God's way goes deeper, for a true soulmate aligns not just with your heart, but with your destiny, supporting your growth, encouraging your faith, and walking with you toward the future you are called to build. Yet until that alignment is ready, the waiting season continues, shaping us to stop chasing after the illusion of perfection and start cultivating the qualities of patience, integrity, resilience, and compassion, because finding the right person is less about searching outwardly and more about being inwardly prepared to recognize, value, and sustain them when they appear. And this is why what feels like a pause is never wasted, because in those moments you are becoming the partner your soulmate has been praying for too. And when the time comes, it won't just be a meeting of two people, but the unfolding of a divine appointment where signs and confirmations, both small and great, begin to reveal that God's hand has orchestrated every step, every delay, and every preparation to lead to that encounter. And when it happens, you will look back and realize that the waiting was not punishment, but protection, that the loneliness was not emptiness, but growth. And that the unveiling of your soulmate at the right time is not just about finding love, but about stepping into a covenant designed to glorify God and fulfill your greater purpose together. There are moments in life when the silence of waiting feels unbearable, when you look around and see others moving forward in relationships, marriages, and companionship. And your heart wonders if God has forgotten your desire. But the truth is that divine timing is never neglect, it is preparation. The delays that frustrate you are often the very seasons that protect you, because love given too early can destroy what it was meant to build, if the foundation of your heart has not yet been set in strength and maturity. And so God allows the waiting to shape you into someone who is ready to carry the weight of a covenant. Someone who understands that real love is not about filling loneliness, but about multiplying purpose, not about escaping emptiness, but about reflecting God's fullness. And in those seasons of seeming delay, your character is sharpened, your patience is tested, your faith is deepened, and your identity is rooted more firmly in who you are as an individual before you ever share that identity with someone else. This is the unseen wisdom of God, that He will not allow you to meet the right person until you are prepared to see them for who they are, until you are strong enough not to depend on them for your wholeness, but to join them in a union where both are already whole. And this is why waiting is not wasted time, but holy time. Sacred space where you learn to discern the difference between temporary attraction and lasting connection, between fleeting emotions and enduring alignment, between a momentary spark and a destiny partnership. And though it may hurt to wait, you will one day understand that it was mercy, not delay. that kept your soulmate hidden until the appointed season. When that season comes, it will not arrive with confusion or contradiction, but with clarity and peace, because the right person will not compete with your purpose, but complement it, not drain your faith, but strengthen it, not pull you away from God, but bring you closer to Him. And you will know it as divine because the fruit of the relationship will be stability, trust, and growth, rather than anxiety, insecurity, and chaos. God does not reveal your soulmate to make you feel complete, because you are already complete in Him, but to join your life with another in a way that multiplies your calling, doubles your strength, and expands your impact. And when this unveiling happens, you will see that even the smallest details bear His fingerprints. The timing of your paths crossing, the alignment of your values, the way conversations flow without pretense, the peace that anchors your heart when you pray about them. All of these are confirmations that what He has joined together is not a coincidence, but a covenant. And the joy of that moment will outweigh every year of waiting, every prayer whispered in solitude, every tear shed in uncertainty. Because you will realize that God was not holding something back from you, but preparing something so much greater than you could have orchestrated on your own. And the revelation of your soulmate at the right time becomes not only an answer to prayer, but a living testimony that God's timing is perfect, His plan is faithful, and His ways are always worth trusting. There comes a point in every person's life where the longing for companionship becomes louder than the noise of daily routines, and the heart begins to cry for the one it is destined to share its journey with. Yet the very fact that this desire exists is proof of how God has placed within us not just a need for love, but also a purpose for love. And it is in this tension between desire and timing that we are tested. Waiting is often uncomfortable because it feels like a delay, but in truth, it is an appointment being carefully arranged by the one who knows the beginning and the end. And so in this season of waiting, God works silently, shaping character, strengthening faith, and removing every counterfeit connection that would weaken the foundation of what is meant to last. For He knows that giving the right person at the wrong time can be just as damaging as never receiving them at all. So He allows you to walk through solitude, not as punishment, but as preparation, teaching you to embrace your identity in Him, to understand the difference between temporary attraction and eternal alignment, to see that a true soulmate is not someone who rescues you from loneliness, but someone who joins you in destiny. And when this truth begins to settle in your spirit, you realize that being alone for a season is not wasted time, but sacred ground where roots of patience, discernment, and resilience are planted deep within your soul. As the years of waiting unfold, God begins to align circumstances in ways you cannot see, moving people, places, and even seasons to orchestrate the moment of meeting. And while you may feel stuck or forgotten, Heaven is working tirelessly behind the scenes to bring forth a divine connection that will not only satisfy the longing of your heart, but also amplify the calling on your life. And this is the beauty of His timing. It is never random. It is never late. It is never careless. For every step you take in faith, every prayer whispered in secret, every tear shed in hope is woven into the tapestry of His perfect plan. And when the unveiling of your soulmate draws near, you will begin to sense a peace that surpasses understanding, an ease in the way conversations flow, an alignment of values that feels unshakable, and a spiritual confirmation that cannot be denied, because God does not send confusion where He has ordained blessing. Instead, He confirms His will through clarity, through peace, and through fruit that lasts. And this fruit will not only be seen in romance, but in the way your purpose is multiplied, your faith is strengthened, and your vision for the future is expanded together. For love in its truest form is not simply about affection, but about assignment. Not only about chemistry, but about covenant. And when the right person is revealed, you will understand that they were never just a partner for your emotions, but a partner for your destiny. In that moment of revelation, When paths cross and spirits recognize one another in divine timing, everything you once thought was a delay will suddenly look like protection. Every unanswered prayer will make sense as divine redirection. And every lonely night will feel like a stepping stone that carried you to this sacred unveiling. And it is here that gratitude will rise within you, not just for the person God has brought into your life, but for the process that shaped you into someone ready to cherish, honor, nurture, and sustain what has been given. For it is one thing to find love, but another to be prepared to keep it, to nurture it, and to let it flourish in the soil of trust and commitment. And this is why God reveals your soulmate only when the time is right. Because he desires not only for you to find joy, but also for that joy to endure, to testify of his goodness, and to reflect his design for covenant love. And as you walk forward hand in hand with the one chosen for you, you will see that the waiting was worth it. The preparation was necessary, and the unveiling was more beautiful than anything you could have orchestrated by yourself. For in his timing, everything becomes not just possible, but perfect. There are seasons in life when the longing for connection feels heavy, when your soul aches for the person who will understand your heart without words. And yet the silence of waiting stretches on longer than you expected, making you wonder if perhaps God has overlooked your desire. But the truth is that waiting is never wasted. For in the hidden moments where you feel unseen, God is actively preparing you for what he has promised. He understands that true love is not something to be rushed, because love is more than an emotion. It is a covenant, and covenants require maturity, patience, and strength. So the delay you call loneliness is often the protection he gives to ensure you are not destroyed by what you are not ready to handle. And this divine patience shapes your character in ways that quick answers never could, teaching you resilience, helping you release unrealistic expectations, and anchoring your worth in him rather than in another person. Because only when you realize you are whole on your own will you be able to meet another whole person and build a life together in unity rather than dependency. During this time of growth, you begin to discover that your soulmate is not someone who will fix your brokenness, but someone who will walk beside you as you live out your calling. And this truth frees you from desperation and empowers you to prepare inwardly rather than chase outwardly. Because God is not only forming your future spouse, but also shaping you to recognize them when they appear. This preparation may take the form of refining your values, healing past wounds, or strengthening your faith, but each lesson becomes a piece of the puzzle that will one day fit perfectly with another life. And when that person comes, you will recognize them not by superficial attraction alone, but by the peace that surrounds them, the clarity that confirms them, and the alignment of purpose that flows naturally without force. Because the right one will not pull you away from God, but draw you nearer. They will not create chaos, but bring calm. And they will not hinder your growth, but inspire it. Proving that a true soulmate is not just a partner for your emotions, but a partner for your destiny. As this truth unfolds, it becomes clear that waiting is not passive, but purposeful. For every season of singleness is an opportunity to grow stronger, to refine your character, and to cultivate the qualities that will sustain a lasting relationship. And in these years, God may place you in situations that test your patience, challenge your faith, and stretch your trust in his plan, because he knows that a love built on shallow soil cannot endure the storms of life. Finally, when the appointed time arrives, it will come with a sense of divine orchestration so undeniable that you will look back and see how every delay was necessary, every heartbreak was a redirection, and every prayer was a seed planted in faith. For the moment God reveals your soulmate, you will recognize his fingerprints in every detail. The timing of your paths crossing, the effortless way conversations flow, the shared vision for the future, and the peace that confirms it in your spirit. And this revelation will not only bring joy, but also gratitude. Because you will understand that God was never withholding love from you, but was carefully arranging it to arrive at the right time, in the right way, with the right person. And as you step into this season, you will see that it is not the end of waiting, but the fulfillment of preparation, where two stories merge into one testimony of God's faithfulness. And in that union, you will know without doubt that his timing is not only perfect, but also purposeful, designed not just to give you happiness, but to align your love with destiny. There are times when the longing for love feels like an unanswered prayer, when the heart grows restless and the mind begins to question if the promise of companionship will ever be fulfilled. Yet it is in those very moments of uncertainty that God is silently working behind the scenes, arranging a story that is greater than anything you could script for yourself, because he does not reveal your soulmate when you demand it, but when you are ready to recognize and embrace it. And readiness is not measured by age or status, but by the maturity of your spirit, the stability of your heart, and the depth of your faith. So what you call delay is often divine timing, a season of protection where God keeps you from settling for less, from rushing into what looks appealing but lacks substance, and from attaching yourself to people who are not aligned with your destiny. For he knows that a covenant requires more than chemistry. It requires character, trust, and endurance. In the hidden years of waiting, God is not only preparing your future spouse, but also shaping you, teaching you to heal from past wounds, to let go of insecurities, and to find your identity in him alone. Because the truth is that no person can complete you if you do not first realize that you are already whole in the presence of God. And when you learn this truth, you shift from chasing after love to becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. Someone who does not seek a soulmate to fill emptiness, but to share abundance. And it is in this transformation that you gain the clarity to discern the difference between fleeting attraction and lasting alignment, between someone who entertains your emotions and someone who expands your purpose. Seek your purpose. And that clarity becomes the compass that will guide you when the right one appears, so that you do not miss the blessing by confusing it with a distraction. As the preparation deepens, you begin to notice that the waiting is not passive but active. For every challenge you face, every disappointment you endure, and every prayer you release is a step closer to becoming ready for what is to come. And God uses these moments to grow patience in you, to sharpen your discernment, and to teach you that true love is less about finding someone to lean on and more about building a partnership where two strong individuals walk together in unity. And while the world may encourage you to settle for temporary comfort, God calls you higher, reminding you that his plan is not just for companionship, but for covenant. And a covenant requires both people to carry strength, resilience, and faith, which is why the waiting seasons feel heavy, but are filled with purpose. Because they are making you into someone who can not only receive love, but also protect and nurture it when it comes. Then the day will arrive when paths cross at the appointed time, and the moment will carry with it a peace that cannot be explained, a sense of alignment that makes everything fit together effortlessly, and an assurance that what you are stepping into is not built on chance, but on God's design. And you will know it is right, not because it is without challenges, but because the foundation is solid, rooted in trust, faith, and shared vision. And you will realize that your soulmate is not just a companion for comfort, but a partner in purpose, someone who will walk with you through trials. I'm Furtick. Celebrate victories with you and encourage you to pursue the calling God has placed on your life. And in that union, you will see how every season of waiting, every prayer spoken in tears, and every moment of solitude was leading you to this point where two lives merge into one story written by the hand of God. When you look back from that place of fulfillment, gratitude will flood your heart, because you will understand that what once felt like silence was divine orchestration, that the unanswered prayers were not neglect but redirection, and that the waiting was not punishment but preparation. True. For the God who sees the end from the beginning knew exactly when to reveal what your heart longed for. And he chose the perfect time so that love would not just arrive, but endure, not just bless you, but align with your destiny. And as you walk forward with the one he has chosen, your relationship becomes more than personal joy. It becomes a testimony to his faithfulness, a reflection of his design for covenant, and a reminder that those who trust his timing will never be disappointed. Because when God reveals your soulmate at the right time, it is not only beautiful but unshakable, built to last, and destined to glorify him.